G'day legends. So in this video, I thought I would give out a very special award for the first time ever on this channel, and that is the Golden Duck Award. That's right, an award for who is being the biggest duck in the sport right now, and I think it is going to have to go between two very special individuals, Jon Jones or Colby Covington. One of these two is going to be winning the Golden Duck Award today because they have both come out and said some very interesting things, and I think we all know what is going on in the media when it comes to Jon Jones and who he's going to be fighting next. But what he has set up next for himself is particularly egregious. And then, of course, Colby Covington, he just did an interview with Submission Radio down here in Australia, and the entire thing was laughable. So we're going to listen to that in this video as well. And then one of these two bad boys is going to be winning my first ever Golden Duck Award. So firstly, the big one that I wanted to bring up is this one right here. It's Jon Jones reacting to Alex Pereira's win over at UFC 303 and whether or not Alex Pereira should move up to heavyweight. Now, Jon Jones said something very telling about this. He said, "When I beat Miocic, I want to give Alex Pereira a chance, but only if he beats Aspinall first. In any case, it would be an easy night for me. I would choke him out just like I did Garn. I am the king of the jungle." As you can imagine, this tweet here is getting some pretty wild replies when you start to look through them. It is a lot of hate directed at Jon Jones. Some absolute Chad down in the comments has gone, "Oh, so you want him to do your dirty work for you with Aspinall? I'm shocked, you absolute pussy." So I don't know, this bad math guy, what? I mean, he's right. I totally agree with him. But this is the thing. Jon Jones is clearly ducking Tom Aspinall, who is his rightful number one contender. We have talked about it so many times before. But I think what is really interesting here, and what I wanted to point out particularly in this video, is that before 303, and maybe even before 300 or just after 300, but around that time, Jon Jones was doing media interviews trying to drum up some interest between him versus Alex Pereira. But now that Alex Pereira has gone out there and absolutely shown that he is one of the best strikers in the world, he might be, I don't know, the third best pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC at the moment. I know that is going to upset some people, but I do not think he's the best pound-for-pound fighter in all of MMA at the moment. He doesn't really have the complete ground game that some of the other fighters do, but he is without a doubt a dominant force. And ever since Alex Pereira has gone forward and proven even more and more what a dominant force he is, now Jon Jones has gone and changed his tune from, instead of him versus Alex Pereira, it's, wow, I got these two young, hungry up-and-comers trying to nip at my feet. Why don't they off each other? And I think to Jon Jones, he believes that Alex Pereira has a damn good chance at beating Tom Aspinall. And if Alex Pereira does beat Tom Aspinall, then he might consider fighting Alex Pereira, because Alex would be an easier fight for Jon Jones at heavyweight than Tom Aspinall would. Tom Aspinall is an exceedingly well-rounded fighter and could handle Jon Jones's takedowns and his wrestling. The big thing at heavyweight is that they are all strikers. None of them really know how to wrestle. That is why Jailton Almeida is having such good success. That is why Curtis Blades is always around the top somewhere. So wrestling, he knows, is heavyweight's entire sort of weakness, and that's why he moved up to heavyweight, so he could go and be the king there. There was a very easy hole for him once he saw that Cyril Gane was the interim champion or being tapped to be the next champion. He could easily out-wrestle him. Tom Aspinall doesn't provide such an easy night out. Tom Aspinall is a much harder night out. Now, if Alex Pereira does manage to beat Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones does manage to beat Stipe Miocic, then Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira, well, there's some wrestling that Jon Jones could win. So I think Jon Jones is being very clever here and just sitting back and waiting to see what happens. But now he's not talking about Tom Aspinall. Now he's not talking about Alex Pereira. He's trying to get them to fight each other. And quite frankly, it's embarrassing, and it might be ruining his legacy. Because if you are going to go down as the GOAT, the best ever, that is very hard to do when you are so openly ducking not just your number one contender, but someone who has the heavyweight interim championship belt. He is the champion in the interim, and you are not only ducking him, you are trying to get someone from a smaller weight class to go ahead and assassinate him when you're meant to be the king of the heavyweights. You're meant to be the greatest fighter of all time. The second thing that really annoys me about that, with Jon Jones so blatantly ducking Tom Aspinall, is that Jon Jones wants to call himself the best, the champion, the best in the entire division at the moment. And when you are the champion, that means you are better than everybody below you on that given night. But he doesn't want to test that. He wants to cherry pick his fights like he has been doing for a while now. And that I just cannot respect. So Jon Jones becomes my candidate for the biggest duck in MMA. However, there is another candidate that very much wants to win it, and that is Colby Covington. Let's play a few clips from Colby Covington's most recent interview on Submission Radio, and we can sort of pick apart and see who Colby Covington is really ducking here and what fights he's really looking for. So in this interview, the first clip that we're going to play is Submission Radio asking Colby Covington, what does he think about Ian Gary's recent win over MVP, and now that he is 15-0. Let's have a listen.
Fighting fans from the Indian casino leagues, big deal. Anybody could be 15-0 fighting a bunch of 15 bums, so... even Dana White himself, said what he thought of the performance. He thought it was a draw. He didn't think there should have been a winner. I feel bad for the fans. The fans got robbed of, a pay-per-view opener. That's supposed to be the opener pay-per-view. So that was pathetic. That guy's fighting the number 14 guy in the world who's barely scraping by. I think he lost the fight. So the guy's an absolute nobody, and he's a bum, and he has no reason to talk about anything. He keeps talking about this GOAT stuff. The only GOAT that he has is his wife, and she's the throat GOAT, if you know what I mean.
So Colby Covington not impressed with Ian Gary's performance, even though Ian Gary wrestled his way to a win. Colby definitely would never do that. Masvidal! Masvidal! Sorry. As I was saying, Colby would never wrestle his way to a win. Oh, hey, Masvidal! God, my mistake. I must have something caught in my throat. So anyway, Colby Covington, not impressed with Ian Gary using wrestling to get him to a win. So he's clearly ducking Ian Gary, by the way, is ranked 6th or 7th. Colby Covington, who is ranked 4th, Ian Gary, who is now 15-0, Colby Covington, who is coming off a loss. It makes perfect sense for Colby Covington to fight Ian Gary, but Colby's not interested because he's not big business enough. Then Colby Covington gets asked, what does he think about MVP?
You think I would spend a Saturday night watching two jobbers fight on pay-per-view? I got better things to do with my life, brother. I'm a multi-million-dollar star athlete. I got to go out there and enjoy my life on a Saturday night. I wasn't watching fights, let alone two bums in my division that could care less about. They're fighting for what? For the gatekeeper of the top 15? These guys are nobodies. I've beaten world champion after world champion for 7 years straight. My resume, 7 main events in a row.
Did you say you beat world champion after world champion for 7 years straight? I don't remember Masvidal ever being a champion. Huh. Interesting. He's not impressed by MVP either. So he doesn't want to fight Ian Gary. He doesn't want to fight MVP. Okay, so who does Colby Covington want to fight? Right here, Colby Covington is going to say that he would fight Khamzat Chimaev, but Khamzat Chimaev is retired because of the common cold. So he doesn't want to fight Ian Gary. He doesn't want to fight MVP. He would have fought Khamzat Chimaev, but unfortunately, Khamzat Chimaev has the common cold.
I accepted every fight. Just like he said, I've never rejected a fight. So what happened to Cumshot? Cumshot was saying the same thing. Oh, Colby doesn't want to fight. What happened to Cumshot? Oh, yeah, he retired because of the common cold. The guy's an absolute clown. He's lucky he can't get in the USA. Because America's champ would absolutely decimate him and take his soul. So, now Dana White's proved it.
Colby Covington has just ducked Khamzat Chimaev, Ian Gary, and MVP. Surely he has to fight somebody at some point, right? I'll skip to who he wants to fight right now. He gets asked, do you think Michael Chandler is somebody that you would be interested in fighting?
If the UFC asked you to fill in for that Conor McGregor spot?
I would love to. It's an easy fight, The little short pipsqueak's going to get fucking knocked out cold, He's ran his mouth before, too, saying, I'm bulking up now to 70. I'd like to fight Colby after I fight Conor. So let's see if he's a man of his word. All these little fucking midgets that cut all his weight to get to 55 because they're scared to fight in a real man's division at 170.
So there you have it right there. He'll fight Colby Covington. Next up is, would you fight Charles Oliveira? Let's listen to that one.
Last time you came on Submission Radio. Anything from the UFC on that? Is that still a potential fight there?
It's still a potential fight. The UFC hasn't shown much interest with it, but if you look at the landscape and what he said in his recent interview that he wants to go up a weight, to 170, he's a big guy. He's taller than me. He weighs more than me. The guy's just a weight bully cutting to 155 because
he weighs more than you. You think Oliveira weighs more than you, Colby Covington? I just want to make sure I heard that right. Let me slow that down. I need to make sure I heard that right.
The guy's just a weight bully cutting to 170. If you look at the landscape and what he said in his recent interview that he wants to go up a weight, to 170, he's a big guy. He's taller than me. He weighs more than me. The guy's just a weight bully cutting to 155 because he wants to be stronger in there because he doesn't have a mental edge. He's mentally weak. So
unbelievable. He's disgusting. All right, this is my summation of it. I can't listen to any more of Colby Covington. He is too much. Listen, you have got Jon Jones, who is ducking the hardest contender that is out there for him, Tom Aspinall, and I can sort of get why. All Jon Jones has to do is knock out Stipe Miocic, and he goes down as one of the greatest fighters of all time. He goes down as the greatest light heavyweight of all time, and he goes down as getting a win over the greatest heavyweight of all time. I don't blame Jon Jones for wanting to pick the low-hanging fruit. And Jon Jones has said that he might be open to fighting Alex Pereira. He might be open to fighting this person and that person. I get it. Jon Jones is at the top of the pile. But Colby Covington, in this interview, is trying to duck his entire division. At least Jon Jones is going to fight old Stipe Miocic, who is in his division, and there is a chance of Stipe somehow getting it done and sleeping Jon Jones. But Colby Covington is trying to duck an entire division. He's trying to fight Michael Chandler or Charles Oliveira. And then after that, he's still going to try and push for a title. To me, the biggest duck in the UFC right now, the award for the biggest duck in the UFC has to go to Colby Covington. Jon Jones might be trying to duck Tom Aspinall, but he might fight Alex Pereira. Jon Jones might be trying to duck Tom Aspinall, but he's definitely going to fight Stipe Miocic. But Colby Covington is trying to duck an entire division. So he wins the award. Colby Covington, well done. You're the biggest coward in the UFC. Let me know down there in the comments, who do you think is the biggest duck in the UFC if it's not Colby Covington or Jon Jones? If you liked the video, give it a like. If you really liked the video, consider subscribing to the channel. I try and make MMA videos nearly every single day. Try and live stream as often as possible. Plus, we do live fight companions. So if you want to join me for any of them, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Until then, you all have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video.